Welcome back, this is part 8 from AngularDart tutorial. Please make sure to check the previous videos and let's get started. We try to edit this one, the name, we just say any name or something like this, and then this will be editable. Also that I have to bring also the image, so with this we'll say image, and the image also between all that are required, so we'll say this dot image, and inside the course after the email we need to implement the image here also. So we go to a profile template, and instead of this one I will just copy it and then use it inside the surface, and back to the profile template. In order to get the image we need to make this one as a directive, so to one data binding or two data binding, and then we say profile. Another thing that we're going to do is also we did already hard-coded the profile model inside the profile surface, so we're going to make a new file inside. So let me go inside the surfaces, or maybe the models. So inside the model we make a new file. I will say profile.model, and then we paste this out there. Again, bring the course here, that totally works here. And now the idea is to bring this one again, so import it, and we need to import it inside the profile component also, and I think that's it. So this will work, and then go to profile will work perfectly. The next thing we will do is implementing the HTTP package and using the fetching from an API to get the courses. In order to bring the HTTP client and working with the fetching the data for courses, what we're going to do is actually bring some packages here, and one of them is called UUID. So the UUID is actually just needed for for UUID, for ID, generated ID, and that's because we don't need to use always our ID. Also we're going to use until package. Until package is just for formatting the date and the time. I will keep this empty so it will pick the latest version. Also I will use another or our own package as called HTTP package, and that will bring us to the version 0, 12, and then 0. So that's our package for HTTP. And also we are going to the div dependencies, and then we will use another package, and that will called Mockito. So Mockito is just as it said, it's just it will mock the client surface, and that's what we are going to use, because we're not gonna use an actual data. We just gonna mock the data, and then and then uses our local data. And I will show you how to use the real data. So now we have our packages will be installed, and then let's just make sure that all the packages installed. And we see that because courses depends on Angular, which depends on 13, until is required. I think this one is an old one, so let's try to install again, and we see that we don't have an error. Now we're going to in our utils, I'm going to make a new file. I called it in memory, and the idea here is that the class is called in memory, and that's what to bring us just a data surface. So it just it will mark the data and everything, it will be here. And now let's make class in memory data, and that's our class will be. So what we're going to do is first we will extend the mock client, and that as you can see, it has some that will bring us from testing Dart, and then we will make a constructor with a super. And in order to implement this in-memory data, we're going to inside the web, and then go into main, and we need to put inside the generated injector, the generate injector, we need to put our new class. And that's what we'll do. Especially this generate injector will accept an array, so it will be, as you can see, list of object, or just in one element. So this one should be in array. I'm going to put this one in array here, and here we we will use our is the same as so it's just a service, so it's the same as any component service. So we say class provider, and then we say client. So that's bring a client from HTTP package, so this one from here, and then we say use a class, and that will be in memory data. So that's our setup for in-memory data. Again, if you don't want to use this in-memory data and you want to use your own client, we just say class provider again. So let's say, so class provider, again you pass the client here, and then you say use a class, and you bring a browser client. So browser client. In this case, it will bring us you are able to use the HTTP client inside and use any data to fetching the data, but for the sake of the course we use in-memory data, and it will be the same. Now we have our classes. Our class is set up, and then we just need to do some configuration for this in-memory data, also generating the data. First, what are we going to do is bring the make a new function, and that will be static, and we say final. Sorry, it's not final. So this will bring us a list of course, not of course, of courses. So this list of courses, and then actually it's not list of courses, it will be the JSON. So normally the JSON will be like string and then dynamic, because we don't know what type of data will be coming back from this JSON. So we'll say initial, I will call this initial courses, and that is a function. So I will take this out here, so it's not gonna annoying us, and then we will make our list here. So what I'm going to do is actually just use for loop here, and that will bring us just 10 elements, and we will say that mock JSON. So let's say mock, and then add, and that will bring us our object. So still we don't have the mock, so we just say list of map, and that will be string dynamic, and then say mock. And now when we add the elements here, we need to add it the same as what we have the constructor, but in the order doesn't matter, but just we need to add the same element that we have the data. So first I will start by UID. I just say this will be UID, and here I will use the UID package. So what I'm going to do first, I will say final, and then bring us actually not final, static, and that will bring us a final UID, or maybe better to use UUID, and that will initialize the UUID package. And here, if you want to use it, we just say UUID.version4, and that will generate a new ID. And then we have a title, so we'll just say title. And here I will use in JavaScript or maybe Dart, but actually it's best to generate a new array, and then we just pass the elements to it. So what I'm going to do is also make a static here. We cannot make a static, so we just say final, and then list. That's the string of titles, so I'll just say just like titles, and that will be an array of strings. So what I'm going to do is actually I'm going to bring some elements. So I'm going to just copy, and then we'll paste it here. So this is just 10 elements. This will goes through the titles here. Now what we're going to do is just bring the titles, and then we pass the element index from the for loop. I'm going to also make some final, maybe for the price. The price will be always free, so that's it's okay. And the other is maybe I'm going to change some. No, I'm going actually to do the tags also. So I'm going to put some tags here, so final tags, and then this will bring the string here. Now we'll continue with our courses, and we just say other, and that will be let's say Mustafa. Something like this. And then we bring our price again here and say we just separate price is remember the price is double, so we need to just say 0 here. And then we have our description, and the description you can put anything you want, but I mean it's just a mock data, so you can say full complete course. And then we have our duration. So now we have our duration here, and then we'll go further by saying like the image here. So bring our image for the course, and here we use just a string. I will provide this later. And then we have our lectures. So remember, these lectures will have an array of strings. So let's say that we have lecture 1 and lecture 2. For now we just provide an array of strings. It's actually dynamic, so we can provide anything, but that's why I bring this one. And here we use our tags, and that's also the same. We bring us our elements for the tags. And then we have our updated@, and here we're going to use the formatting for the time date. So what we can say is date format, and that's bring us our package. And what we can do is bring us the whole elements here. But what actually I'm doing, I will do is just bring our date, and then I say format, and that will bring us date time.now. So here we can use our format. So we'll say that we need it like I don't know, day, and then month, and then year. So that's our formatting for the date. Now we have all the elements here. We have all the data inside this. What we need to do is just return in the end. We return, what we're going to do is return the mock. That's it. So actually this mock is not, maybe I will change the name, so make it mock JSON, because it implies for the JSON data. Now we have our data. We need to make some functions to work with courses or course in memory. First, what I'm going to do is make a static, and that will make a list of courses. I keep saying course. So list of courses, and we say courses db, or maybe course db. You can use anything you want. Again, the course here is not recognized. You just need to import it. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to use the handler. So there is let's say we have a static here, and then we say future, and then we use the response, and the response is an object of inside the HTTP package, and we call this one is handler. And the handler is taking the request. Again, the request is also inside the HTTP package, and we say this is a request. I'm also bringing the async function. So this our logic will be all the logic will be here. So but before that, we will make some helper functions, and that's one of them is a static. I will say reset and dp, and that's what will do. It will take the courses db and then assign it to initialization for our courses, and then it will map it. And after the mapping, because it's an array, we need to make it to list again. Again, here what we can do is actually mapping because the initialization of courses, it will bring us the list of courses, and then what we can do is it will bring us a map of JSON data. So what we can do is say this is a JSON, and that will do course dot from JSON, and then we bring us our JSON data here. So again, if you check for the initialization of courses, this will return a map of string and dynamic. So it's JSON data, and then we send the JSON data to format it inside our course model. So this just a constructor that is not created yet, so we're going to create this one. So we just say course, or maybe not course directly, we just say factory and say course from JSON, and we accept map string and then dynamic, and we call this one as JSON, and that's what will return. It will return the course constructor, but with our formatting. So let's bring this out, make space here. I'm gonna close this one, is better, so we can have a visualization of what we are doing. So what we are going to do is actually after creating the course, we just pass our data is the same as this data. So we need to be very careful here about our data. So this will be UID and then JSON, and that will be the title, and again JSON here, and that will be the author, and again we just say JSON here, and then close it, and then we have our data. That's easy and possible. Again, if we want to use we are going to use, actually there is we need to make another helper function that is called map, and that will be to JSON. So in case we have data and we need to pass the data to it, and we just retrieve the data from the JSON and and that will bring us to convert the data. So what we're going to do is the same as here. That's it for this part. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.